Chapter 16, The Songbook. Carmen and Kathleen were new members in the children's choir. Carmen was 11 and her cousin Kathleen was a boy of 12. Carmen was short with wavy light brown hair and blue eyes. Her cousin was a little taller with brown eyes. Their parents were not Christians. One Sunday afternoon, the cousins came to talk with me before the choir practice. Genovieva, Kathleen said, "We love the songs you teach us, but we do not know the words well enough. Don't you have a songbook for us?" "I don't have any," I replied. "We are not even allowed to have a typewriter." Sylvia copies songs by hand for the children, but often it is too much for her. "Why can't we copy them at a copying machine?" asked Carmen. The secret police guards such machines to stop Christians from copying songs or portions of the Bible on them. To use a copying machine would be risky, but not impossible. At that, Carmen and Kathleen smiled at each other and laughed. Later, they told me this story. As it was the summer vacation, one evening they went to see their aunts, Annie and Lucy. Arriving at the first floor of the block in Poduroshu, the children rang the bell. At apartment number 3, the oak door opened. "What a surprise! Come on in, dear children," said Aunt Lucy. She was slender with blonde hair that touched her shoulders. "It is a joy to have you here," said Aunt Annie, taking their coats and hanging them on the coat stand. Annie and Lucy were identical twins. Carmen and Kathleen made themselves comfortable on the velvet sofa. Soon there were chocolate cakes and drinks on the table. Aunt Annie, Carmen began eating her cake. "You and Aunt Lucy once said you would do anything for us." "Well, maybe I did," Aunt Annie answered from her plush green armchair. "We have no other nephew and niece, do we? Besides, you are such lovely children," added Aunt Lucy.
Lacrimile
What is your request? We need some songs copied for the choir, said Carmen. What choir? Aunt Lucy asked. The children's choir at church, Carmen said. Since we have been living with Grandma, she takes us to church, and we join the children's choir. We learn lots of songs, but the children never have enough song sheets, said Kathleen between sips of lemonade. Once you showed us the copying machine at the laboratory where you work. How many songs would you need copying? Asked Aunt Lucy. Well, we learned altogether 78 songs, replied Carmen. How many children are there? About 50, Carmen answered. 78 times 50 equals 3,900. Aunt Annie calculated. That's a lot of copies. But you showed us that you just press a button and you can copy hundreds, said Kathleen. Are they typed? Asked Aunt Lucy. No, Genovieva, our choir director, told us that Christians are not allowed to have a typewriter unless it is registered with the police, said Carmen. And they are not allowed to use a copying machine either, said Kathleen. Shh, don't speak so loud, whispered Aunt Annie. There was silence for the next few minutes as Aunt Annie and Aunt Lucy cleared the table. When they went in the kitchen to speak privately, Carmen and Kathleen sat and waited in silence. "We'll help you," Aunt Annie said firmly. "Be at the laboratory where we work at 6 o'clock tomorrow evening. You know you are there, but keep your mouth shut or else we might end up in prison." The chemistry department was in a vast stone structure with several floors and hundreds of rooms. At 6 o'clock sharp the next evening, Carmen and Kathleen entered the building and made their way to the laboratory on the third floor where their aunts worked. The students had gone home, and they were all by themselves now. A strong smell of chemicals met them as they walked past rows of test tubes and powders in all sorts of jars. Liquids bubbling through tubes made gurgling noises. At the end of the room stood a big copying machine and a typewriter. "Did you bring the songs?" asked Aunt Annie, while Aunt Lucy locked the doors from inside. "Yes, here they are," said Carmen, handing her a stack of papers. 78 handwritten songs. "Let's get organized here," Aunt Lucy said. "We cannot use the handwritten copies. It is too dangerous. We'll type one song at a time, and Aunt Annie will get busy with the copying. Carmen, you watch the window for anything going on outside, and you, Kathleen, listen for noises in the hall," instructed Aunt Annie. "We should use a dim light. We don't want to be seen from outside." For a while, everything went smoothly. Aunt Lucy typed one song at a time and handed it to Aunt Annie, who made 50 copies. "There is a man walking up and down outside the building," Carmen said. "Let me see," said Aunt Annie, going to the window and peeping out. "It is only the security guard. I don't think he will come inside." Another hour of intense work passed. "Let's have some coffee," Aunt Lucy said. "It is nearly 9 o'clock and I am falling asleep at the typewriter." The four of them had a few minutes break and a cup of coffee. Soon they were back at work. "A police car has stopped outside," Carmen announced in a scared voice from her position at the window. policeman is getting out of the car, speaking to the security guard. They are looking up. I think they saw me. "Copy off," Aunt Lucy ordered, "and hide the copies in the cupboard." Then they heard the big door of the massive building opening. Footsteps echoed through the halls. "They are coming upstairs," whispered Kathleen. "What shall we do?" "Quick, let's hide under the tables at the back," said Aunt Lucy. "Don't breathe a word." It was now dark inside the laboratory, and Carmen and Kathleen were praying, "Jesus, help us." Soon they heard men's voices in the hall. They were walking slowly up the corridor, checking the handles of the doors. When the heavy footsteps arrived at their door, Carmen and Kathleen started to tremble. Soon the steps went away. After what seemed hours, they heard the big door at the main entrance again, opening and closing. "Are they gone?" Carmen whispered. "I'll go and see." "Yes, they're gone. They're living in the car." Aunt Annie and Aunt Lucy looked shaken as they came back to their working positions. The second session of typing and copying went slower. Kathleen thought he could hear steps in the hall all the time, and Carmen thought that every car passing by was a police car. They were praying all the time, "Jesus, help us." By 11 o'clock, the copying was finished. "Get all the copies together and let's go. We should leave everything in perfect order." "Nobody should suspect that we were here," said Aunt Annie. "We'll go out the back door." Soon they were out of there, stepping as quietly as they could along the corridor and down the stairs at the back entrance. Aunt Lucy opened it as gently as she could, and the door shut quietly behind them. "The work is not finished yet," Aunt Annie said. "I would like to get the copies bound for you. I know someone who can do it." "What is the name of your children's choir?" Zion, Carmen, and Kathleen answered and said good night to their aunts. Another Sunday afternoon at the church, I was waiting for the children to come for the choir practice. The door opened, and in came Carmen and Kathleen with 2 large shopping bags full of songbooks. "Quickly, quickly," I said. "Let's put them on each quart chair, and don't ever breathe a word about it." When the children came, a big surprise was waiting for them. Each songbook was bound with a hard cover that said Zion Children's Choir in gold letters on the front. The children in the choir were amazed. It was the first songbook they had ever had. And despite a certain twinkle in Carmen and Kathleen's eyes, nobody seemed to know where they had come from.